hope you guys are well. So basically today we have an exciting video for you guys. So we have decided that we're going to start a series. If you follow us on Instagram, you will be already aware of this, but in case you don't, we are starting a series. So the series, basically, as you can see from the title, is Money Monday. We're gonna have a video up for you guys every single Monday of February. It's called Money Monday, and we're gonna talk all things finances, and we want it to be super interactive as well. We want an opportunity for you guys to ask us questions, for us to answer back. We have been already doing that. We've asked some questions on Instagram. A few of you have already replied, so we're going to cover that as well. But obviously, at the end of this video, please type as many comments as you can below, like with your questions. And if you don't want to type them below and you want to keep anonymous, you can find us on Instagram. We'll put our details there, and you can send it to us on Instagram. So yeah, but basically just get in touch with us anyhow you want and ask us the questions, and we will cover it off in the next videos. So yeah, get comfortable, grab a drink, grab a hot drink. Tana's got a hot drink. I'm not really a hot drink girl. And it's not with evaporated milk, for those of you that watched the last video. Is that soy milk? It is indeed. Alright, great. And I've just got some water. But yeah, just grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's get into this. So in today's video, actually, the first topic that we're going to cover, and we did get some questions on this as well, is basically finances and relationships. So basically, how as a couple do we deal with finances? What 2p do we have to share on finances as a couple? And we're going to cover that. So before we got married, while we're married, just basically as a couple, when you're ready to make that financial commitment as a couple, we're covering that basically. And then we shall have upcoming videos covering different topics like investing, buying property, like buying your first home, weddings and all of that. So that we're going to come. But yeah, let's get right into it. So probably gonna take it right back from the start. So when we graduated from university, we started our career. The first thing we did was clear off our overdraft, so the student overdraft. Okay, so after overdraft, we sat down and discussed our credit scores. Yeah, I think it's quite important to be very transparent at the beginning. We thought it was important just being able to be open about all that stuff, because at the end of the day, when you come into financial commitments, credit score matters. So. It does. So we opened up about our income. That was interesting. How much do you make? I know. Yeah. What sort of credit score we may have. Thankfully, it was good. Any credit cards or any store cards that we may have had, which we didn't. So right after that, we discussed our shared goals. So where we see ourselves in the next 5, 10, whatever year. What our passions are, any financial commitment that we might want to get into in the next few years. So we had quite a lot of shared goals. The immediate financial goals were obviously wedding, buying a house, and investing as well. So yeah, eventually investing. So we obviously had to just plan ahead for all of that to be in place at the time that we wanted it to be. Yeah, and I think it's important to be able to express your financial goals to each other. Some of them are probably going to be shared, like weddings and stuff like that, shared. Some of them might be individual, but being able to know that actually you can support each other in your individual financial goals. But basically just being aware of all the different financial commitments that as a couple you're going to make, really. If it's whether you person, like I want to start a business perhaps, and Tunde wants to start a business, having that in the plan or whatever. So everybody's different, but for us, I guess those were our main fear, isn't it? So it was literally, let's get married, let's buy a property, and let's start investing. And obviously in the mix of that, renovations got thrown in. We initially did plan for that, but obviously, so yeah, it's not like that plan has to be that forever or concrete. It can always change, as it did for us slightly. So that was kind of like the initial discussions that we had, just being transparent basically. And obviously now we're going to move on to like, what do we do now, like financially? How do we work as a team? Like how do we do it really? So I know we had some questions on this, like are you guys doing 50-50? How do you save? Like how do you guys as a couple budget and stuff like that? So yeah, for us, I think the 4 main things that we actually tend to prioritize in terms of our finance and our income is saving, expenses, giving, and pretty much any miscellaneous that falls outside all those 3. Before we got married, we started expenses and how much we wanted to save. So initially based on our income, of course. Yeah, based on our income. We basically had a number in our head. After we've discussed how much we earn and so forth, then we talked about how much we actually wanted to be setting aside to eventually buy a home. So after that, whatever was left, we had to live off that. So we were looking for an apartment in town that matched basically what was left, in a sense, with a bit of room as well. And we basically followed the same suit as well once we actually bought a house as well. So having that expense first. So even though we were saving to buy a house, even when we were searching to buy a house, we also knew how much we wanted to be saving for investing and for investment purposes as well. So we knew that everything else had to fall under a certain number as well. Yeah, so I think essentially it's the whole like save first. So we've always been keen on that. I think, I remember Tunde once telling me, oh babe, you should read this book called Richest Man in Babylon. And I was like, oh, okay. And I read it and it was literally amazing. So we'll link that below as well.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. So basically, like, we've always been like actually save first. So which therefore meant that actually if we're saving first, and we always aiming to save 50%, like we thought, okay, let's always aim to save 50% of our income, and then obviously the rest of the 50% we're going to try live in that in terms of our expenses and covering off our giving in that 50%. So that's what Tuna's saying. So basically in the remaining 50%, it's like, actually, can we afford that apartment, or actually we're going to go for this apartment instead, and being able to work it out for the remaining, but being able to save first.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think initially, obviously with the way it all worked out, I think we initially was saving about 4 to 6%. Obviously we aim for 50, but we ended up saving about 4 to 6% of our income, like as just after we got married. That was kind of how much we're saving. And obviously now we've really tried to get back to the minimum of 50%. So now I think we're saving just over 60% of our income is how much we save. And obviously with that saving, that goes into different things, like, you know, whether it's that shared goal of buying a property or investing or whatever. That's what that saving is going to. So it's not just saving for the sake of it, it's saving to make sure that goes into those shared goals, really.
Yeah, so in terms of expenses, we have automated our expenses, so all our expenses come out on the same day, just so that it makes things a lot easier, basically, for us to manage. Yeah, we do have a joint account, so the moment we got married, we opened up a joint account, which is where...
Just before we got married? Or was it when we married? No, when we married, yeah.
Anyway, we got a joint account, and basically all our expenses come out from the joint account. We put in 50% each of the total amount of the expenses, the expenses into the joint account. So there isn't this notion of I pay for this or you pay for that or whatever. We just both put in 50% of the total amount of expenses.
Yeah. So I think sorry, not to interrupt, just like what Tina was saying about accounts, in terms of accounts, the way our account is set up, the way we've got
our account is set up.
Account for that. But anyway, the way we've got our account set up, basically we've got lots of accounts. Yeah, we've got my account, his account, we've got joint account, we've got saving account, we've got another savings account, we've got individual savings account, we've got lots of accounts. But I mean, but then the key thing that we decided was actually we want a joint account for our expenses. So our joint account is just expenses. So that's got nothing to do with our savings, nothing like that. It's just expenses, and that way we don't get tempted to touch our savings or whatever. Our savings go into a separate account. Yeah. But our joint, as Tina was saying, then is expenses. So we both put in. We said, okay, this is how much our expenses are. I put 50% of that. Tina put in 50% of that. And then our savings go into, we've got a joint savings account.
I was about to say that.
We've actually got a joint savings account, and then we've got individual savings accounts as well.
Basically, yeah.
But if you want to talk about accounts more, just let us know.
Yeah, I don't know if you're interested in that.
Yeah.
Don't know.
It works anyway, we've figured it out. But I think the main thing there, but I think the main thing that we just wanted to get out there is that we do keep our joint account, our expenses separate to our savings, so that we don't touch our savings. Do you know what I mean? They're like sacred. No, I'm joking. But we keep them separate, basically. Once we've allocated money to our savings account, once we've allocated money to our joint account for expenses, and then we've sorted out all our giving, we do that separately and jointly. But once all of that's sorted out, we then...
No, I'm joking.
We then basically it's whatever's left, and we always live within that. So I think our key thing is like always try to live within our means. Just say, for argument's sake, if it was £500 left in that pot, I get 250, Tunde gets 250, and that's what we've got to work. You like with it, I do what I like with it. No, but basically whatever that is. So obviously in different parts of our lives, like in different stages, do you know what I mean? From when we were just engaged to living at home, to paying for our apartment, to now paying for a mortgage and trying to invest, all of these different things, like what's left over has varied, and that sort of determines what I think. To be fair, like what's left over maybe is not bad, because Tunde ends up using some of his money for date nights and stuff, but hey, I do pay for some things as well. But anyway, basically whatever's left over, we try to...
On my birthday?
Oh no!
You're so used to me paying, you're like, what do you mean the bill is?
That was so funny. No, but I do pay for things as well. But, so basically we live within our means. Whatever's left over is basically what we have to work with. No, like we don't believe in like, we should try like borrow whatever and stuff like that. And then if it's really like, okay, we really need to pay for something and we didn't estimate paying for that, then we'll go into our savings. But really we try to avoid that at all costs.
Yeah. We can probably go into more detail about that if you guys got any questions on that.
That's why I want to make this interactive as well. Any bits that we've talked about and you thought, I'm interested in that, let us know. Because I don't want to make it boring, I want to make sure it's informative but entertaining.
Yeah. So as Kongi mentioned then, we read The Richest Man in Babylon before we got married. I think it was probably when we were still engaged or even before that. I read a few other books as well, which we'll share with you guys in the next coming videos. But yeah, books like that, it just really helps shape your mindset in terms of how you see money, how you save. It gives you an advice on maybe on saving 10% of your salary or your income. We had higher aspiration on saving a bit more, but that was because we're not home perhaps. So we were able to save up a bit more for our wedding. In terms of savings and stuff like that, a lot of it has to do with mindset as well, and also the fact that we don't have any bad debts. So apart from, I think, our personal mortgage and Kongi student loan, to be fair, student loan is not really a bad debt in a sense, but it's things like that. So Kongi mentioned then living below, I mean, that helps as well with savings, whatever we want to do. We mentioned talking about investing in another video. That's something that we're both quite passionate about, so we'll try to talk to you guys more about that. So if you guys got any questions on that, yeah, please just send them below or messages on Instagram.
How you think about money and stuff is quite important. Some people don't like to talk about money at all. Like, why not post? At the end of the day, money is something that we all use every day, so we're not opposed to talking about money. Yeah, it's just about your mindset. I think if you just see, like, money circulates, you know what I mean? Like, so when it comes to things like travel, it's kind of like that whole living within your means. It kind of falls sometimes into that. Like, depends on our seasons, to be fair. Like, for travel, at the beginning of our relationship, it wasn't a priority, do you know what I mean? We were trying to save up for a wedding, we're trying to get married, trying to save up for an engagement ring, do you know what I mean? Like, never mind traveling. No, but anyway. No, but
before we got married.
Yeah, I mean, like, right at the beginning of our relationship.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we didn't go on holiday.
Yeah, so I'm saying, so we didn't, before we got married, we didn't go on holiday. Actually, we wanted our first holiday to be our honeymoon, so we didn't go on holiday together. Our first travel was our honeymoon, and after that, obviously, like, travel in the first sort of year when we were saving for a house, it was on the back burner. We were kind of like, okay, we'll try to travel like once, like within that period. So we traveled in that 8 months period of saving for a house, only travelled once.
The first year, we travelled to Liverpool.
Oh yeah, yeah. So literally, for our first anniversary. So I think sometimes it's about aligning to your season, if that makes sense. So in that season for us, like we just moved out of home, and now our commitments had increased. We're like paying for rent in the city centre and all this jazz, and then at the same time we're still trying to save for a house. So we're like, let's just go to Liverpool. So I went to Liverpool, and then obviously, so anyway, in that 18 months that we're saving for a house, I said we only went on one holiday to Santorini. Once we purchased our property, we thank God actually, our income increased significantly. So anyway, we don't want to talk about income in another video, but our income had increased significantly, which then meant that we could travel more and stuff. So I think a lot of it is kind of like aligning to your season. So obviously for us, travel has always been like a thing that we just throw on the end, but our main goals, obviously, as we said, then were like buying a house, wedding, and then investing. And then we've sort of made sure travel has sort of fit in that. But obviously people work things differently. You've got to do what makes you happy. Like, we were happy to make that sacrifice, and there's no regret about it. But at the same time, we're very conscious that we want to travel a lot before we have children, so we have been very intentional about traveling. But just to, so yeah, so that predominantly comes out in like living within our means, trying to save up from that amount, and then leaving the big savings to the big things, if that makes sense. Hopefully that I explained that properly. Hopefully. Do you think I explained it alright?
I think you did.
Yeah, so yeah, basically I think that rounds off the video on how we budget. And also in terms of budgeting, I have got a video on like how as an individual you can budget step-by-step guide on my channel. So I think we're going to upload that to this channel as well, actually, just right on one. It's not going to be on a Monday, it's not going to be on a random day, just so it's on the channel. So we're going to upload that to this channel, so you can watch that as well in terms of splitting out your finances and stuff. But overall, that's how as a couple we do it, I think. Hopefully we've not missed off anything, and if there's anything that we have missed off, obviously this series is interactive, so comment below, let us know, and we shall cover it off in the next one.
Yeah, I think we did brush over quite a lot of things there, so if you want to know a few more details, then just let us know.
Obviously, like I said, make sure you comment below. I think that's the most key thing for this video, so we keep interactive. And obviously thumbs up if you really like this video and you like this kind of video, and subscribe.
Thumbs up, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Yeah, see ya.
Right, we almost forgot this then. So the next few videos we're gonna cover investing, saving up for your first home, saving up for a wedding, income,
or even side hustle.
Yeah, side hustle and stuff. So if you've got any questions regarding any of those topics, just please let us know, either on Instagram or here.
You're gonna make my editing long here. Do what?